Your son said some things to a fourth grade girl that frankly make me want to puke.
What did he say?
You'll have to excuse my language. I don't think Caitlyn Jenner is a hero. This kind of transphobic and bigoted hate speech isn't gonna fly here, bro!
Tolerance. The ability or willingness to tolerate something. In particular, the existence of opinions or behavior that one does not necessarily agree with.
What we call tolerance is often just condescending. It's often just saying, okay, you believe what you want to believe, that's fine with me.
There is no legal sort of regime here that says this, free speech, is it free speech or hate speech? I saw this today.
Right.
I mean, it can be both.
Right.
It is.
It's hateful, but it's still protected.
But not hate speech in the sort of European sense that it's illegal.
A generation is being raised not to believe in freedom of speech, but rather that they should have freedom from speech they dislike.
It's offensive sometimes, some people feel
But it's okay to be offensive. That's what free speech is all about. If free speech is only speech you like, it's not free speech.
No, this is not the way teenagers express themselves.
None of you was harmed.
But we were harmed emotionally.
The tolerance of free speech is especially important on college campuses. Students are no longer encouraged to challenge ideas. Instead, the university has become a place for mainstream activism, with limited to no discussion whatsoever.
A campus bureaucrat just came up to us and she plainly said, "You can't hand out flyers here. If you continue to do this, your group will be blacklisted and you'll be kicked off campus."
Administrators told them they had to stay within the free speech zone.
When we measured the size of the free speech zone, it came out that it was only 0.1% of the entire land area of the main campus here.
If YAL members left the free speech zone, administrators said they'd call the cops.
And I'm sure there's happening arguments to say that, if the speech is limited to a certain location, is it really free? And I think that's a useful argument, and it'll be interesting to see how that plays out.
In October of 2015, a Yale administrator sent out an email challenging students on the offensiveness of certain Halloween costumes. The administrator asks, is there no room for a young person to be a little bit obnoxious, or inappropriate, or yes, offensive?
That's exactly what should be happening on college campuses, and that's what students should expect from their experiences on college campuses. They should expect both to be challenged about things that they say and think, and to challenge others about things that they say and think.
You should step down! If that is what you think about being a professor, you should step down! It is not about creating an intellectual space! It is not! Do you understand that? It's about creating a home here!
Should a university administrator step down at the request of students who he challenged? This administrator was only joining the discussion, questioning if putting limitations on freedom of expression is really in their best interest.
The real test is whether you support the right of people who you think are absolutely disgusting to talk. Even really stupid and obnoxious stuff has to be protected under the First Amendment. That's the price of a free society.
Now the question is, you're rich, you live a pretty free life, right? So what's wrong? Only what I feel is wrong. What's in here is what's wrong. And so it's become a very feelings-based society. Anything that's said to me that hurts my feelings is now no longer just something hurtful. It's a microaggression, right? Yeah. And I can actually reach out and I can harm you. I can ban you. I can call the police if you hurt my feelings.
The left believes that words have power they don't have, right? They think that you can stop somebody from being homophobic by banning the word gay from the playground. They think that you can end racism by banning the N-word. They think that if you shape language and control culture, that you can stamp out bigotry. Well, that's not how it works. The point of a civilized society, the point of etiquette and the point of negotiating the world around us is to live with one another despite our prejudices.
But I will look them in the eye and say, you're wrong. And fundamentalists will look me in the eye and say, you're wrong. And that, to me, is respect.
Watch what happens when individuals don't respect the beliefs of others, no matter how intolerant they may seem.
So you don't know what you're talking about. You're not educated on genetics.
Would you like to discuss the genetics?
No.
What are your genetics?
So I'd stay away from the genetics and back to the brain scans.
You cut that out now, or you'll go home in an ambulance.
Yeah, that seems mildly inappropriate for a political discussion.
Ask yourself, who are really the intolerant ones? Everyone has a right to free speech. If you disagree, have a discussion. Silencing someone and spewing physical threats are not the characteristics of a civil society.
They say, I'm defending their right to X. That doesn't mean I'm defending X.
You know, I don't agree that you, when you become students at colleges, have to be coddled and protected from different points of view. Anybody who comes to speak to you and you disagree with, you should have an argument with them. But you shouldn't silence them by saying you can't come because, you know, I'm too sensitive to hear what you have to say.
The government tried to restrict speech that opposed slavery on the grounds that it was incendiary and that it was offensive. The government tried to restrict speech that promoted contraception on the grounds that it was obscene and indecent and pornographic. The government tried to restrict speech that was pro-labor, and that was pro-socialist, that was pro-communist. Free speech is most important when it protects the speech we hate. What you're saying is freedom is less important than not being offended. What a disaster for a country whose soul depends upon liberty.